I got mine on. Mine's off today, Coach.
Yeah, I was about to say, man, we're gonna run you to Paul Jackson tomorrow morning.
Well, Coach, make an opening statement, introduce our
Well, I'd like to introduce somebody who needs absolutely no introduction here in Columbia, South Carolina. Welcome him back to Columbia. His wife Molly, Mila, and Decker. Excited to have Connor on board. You know, in this position, Marcus, when we hired him, he had expressed to me his desire to further his education in psychology. He's going to study abroad in Europe and got a program that he's really excited about. He expressed to me that in December. That's felt like he wanted to do it at this time. And the first person that came into my mind was Connor Shaw, a guy that's the winningest quarterback in South Carolina history, can relate with our players. We truly believe in outlets here for our players. I think we have as good a support off the field as anybody in the country. You talk in terms of Kristen Coggins and our nutrition program, and Paul Jackson talked about that the other day. You look at the story, Gene Fournette from the Jacksonville newspaper that recently wrote about Hayden Hurst and our mental health department as far as Tim Malone and Rachel Sharp and the fantastic job that our training staff does to support our players. Reverend Jackson's a part of that, and now Connor is a huge part of that in our Beyond Football program, our life skills, and just being a mentor for our guys every day. Live the life here at Williams-Brice Stadium on this campus, and really excited to have Connor join our family. And Connor, go ahead and open up for you.
Yeah, well, first, really happy for Marcus and Miranda. I know that's exciting for them. Anyone that knows Marcus understands the impact he's had on this program in this state, and I know that many more people will deeply benefit from him earning his psychology degree. But I'm really excited to be back. I'm thankful to Coach Muschamp. I'm thankful to Coach Tanner for offering me a chance to return to my alma mater. And really, it was kind of confirmed this past Sunday night in our first team meeting how much I really missed this type of environment. You know, Coach going through the goals and expectations, seeing guys take down notes, getting ready to work and compete. So I can't wait to be a part of their journey. But as excited as I am, you know, this is not about me. Every guy in that locker room chose the University of South Carolina because they believed that they would be developed into outstanding football players, earn a great education, and leave here as mature and respectable men. So when I look at my role, career building, mental health, life skills, mentorship, you know, it certainly resonates with me. And to kind of dive deeper into that, you're looking at professional development, network, self-awareness, you know, helping them with decisions that set them up for success, and then developing a plan while they're student athletes at South Carolina. And that includes football. You know, I wouldn't want to compartmentalize football and everything else because we're going to use football to accomplish what they want to accomplish outside of ball. And so, you know, my first step is just to get to know the guys. The more I know them, the more I can help them. I'm not going to pretend like I'm some know-it-all that has all the answers. But what I will offer is authentic feedback, open dialogue to whatever they feel like they need help with. And I do understand what they're going through, kind of how busy they are, what they're navigating through. And, you know, I can certainly offer some experience that I've had as a student athlete and then, you know, in the NFL and then, you know, learning how to be a professional outside of football. But I'm really excited and you know, I open up to any questions.
Raise your hand. We'll get a microphone to you. David's not here, so Ben gets the first one.
I guess, Connor, what was sort of the process that kind of led you to this? What was the communication, that kind of stuff from Coach Muschamp?
Yeah, Coach Muschamp, you know, reached out to me once he heard that Marcus was pursuing his education, and you know, heard from him and Coach Tanner. The opportunity came up, and that I was on their mind, and obviously hit home for me. I think I always had aspirations to be back a part of this program in some sort of role, and so I think the timing really worked out. My wife, my two kids, and myself are excited to be back a part of this program and ready to see how I can help.
I have one question for each of you. Connor, what do you think is the best part of your story that you can share with kids? I know you do a lot of time speaking with kids, but
Yeah.
What is the one piece of advice or something from your story that you feel that kids can most benefit from?
Yeah, well, my story, I mean, shoot, it didn't happen overnight. You know, there was some adversity through injuries. While I was a player here, kind of feeling like an outcast sometimes when you're not competing with everyone else. I know there's a lot of guys that go through that in the course of their career. And then that kind of transitional phase, playing in the NFL, you know, not getting a lot of playing time, and then, you know, finding out who I am outside of football. when I talked about developing that plan while they're student athletes, that resonates with me because I feel like I did that in the back end of my career, almost after my playing days were over. And so that kind of bounced around a little bit, but it's important for me to develop as a professional outside of football, help me develop a skill set that I needed, understanding how to be more financially responsible, navigating, understanding how to manage my time and schedule better, and then filtering through opportunities that are worthwhile and not. And so all of those attributes, all the things I've learned, I feel like I could kind of help guide, help mentor some of these players that are going through some of the same things.
And Will, how important was it to you? You had a legendary figure here in Marcus, and you're able to replace him with another legendary figure, but also someone who has a recent history here at South Carolina.
Well, I think it's important. I mean, our players know who Connor is. You know, they know his playing days here at the University of South Carolina. Obviously, what he accomplished on the field, but what I'm excited about is what he's going to bring them off the field. And his experience as being a Gamecock and being one of the greats of all time that played here. And so I think that that's a huge part of it. But when you meet Connor, you see how authentic and how real he is, and you see what he's going to be able to do as far as his mentorship to our student athletes.
Let's go, Pete.
Connor, welcome back. First
Thank
of all, kind of going off Rick's question a little bit, how difficult a process was it for you to get to this point? Because you were a pretty driven guy here. You were intense when you talked to us about football, that's for sure.
How difficult was it to get to this point? Yeah, I mean, I'm 28 years old, and I feel like I'm the oldest 28-year-old in the game. I mean, had 2 kids right out the gate, and then going to Cleveland, going to Chicago, coming back to Greenville, having about 7-8 months at Furman, and getting into more of some private business opportunities past 2 years. So it's been a bit of the road more traveled, but I couldn't be more excited for this role in particular with this program and just learn from all the resources that Coach Muschamp talked about with Kristen and Paul and Maria over at the Doty Academic Center. And I'm looking forward to what it leads to in the future. You know, I want to be here for a very, very long time. So, like I said, we're just ready to get going.
Let's go over here to the right.
Connor, right here. Is there a particular issue you see student athletes needing more help with, like nowadays, as compared to when you were a player?
I'm sure there's a lot of similarities. I think some of the things that stick out to me, if I go back and try to figure out, what were the challenges I faced and some of the challenges my teammates faced, was kind of navigating the time. Football is very militant, like scheduled to the very hour of each day, and so. If they can be efficient in their time, but also understand that there are so many educational programs and resources at their disposal. And so part of my job is just connect them with whatever is relevant to their needs.
Let's go way back to left, Mike.
Hey, Connor, welcome back.
Appreciate it.
So a couple questions for you. One, what did you like about the plan that Marcus set up in this job? And then how do you want to put your own stamp on it?
Yeah, really appreciate what Marcus has done the past 2 years. Hearing him speak to the players on Sunday night, you could tell that he had developed a lot of relationships with those guys, and it wasn't easy for him to walk away. And I think he'll still continue to contribute. But, he'll be a resource for me. I look forward to continue picking Marcus's brain. And the great thing about it is there's Dylan Thompson in Detroit. There's Jack Easterby in Houston that I've already contacted. And there's a lot of different leadership seminars and outlets that I just want to be a sponge so I can come back and kind of make my stamp here.
Go to Hale and Miller.
Connor, as a former player and coming back and seeing this facility and some of the other things that are happening around campus, how are you jealous at all that some of this stuff went in place when you were here, or is it just kind of nice for the current guys?
No, it's exciting for the players. I joke around and say that our class helped fund this place, but it's exciting to be a part of. It's better than any professional facility I've ever been in, and it's a one-stop shop. I mean, there's so many resources where dining and academic tutors and being around the coaching staff is probably the biggest thing that Coach Muschamp would probably attest to. I mean, when I was playing, we'd have to walk around the stadium to go meet with Coach Spurrier and our position coaches, and we didn't see him a whole lot. So for everyone just to be here together and consolidated is a really big deal.
And in your playing days, were there any individuals who helped you in sort of the role that you're going to be doing? Is there anybody that you look back on that way?
Absolutely. The first name that comes to mind is Gloria. She was our sports psych in Chicago. And, to be honest, I wasn't that type of person to go initiate those conversations with someone in that position. But I broke my tib fib in 2016 was playing at a high level, and then the next year, I tore my hamstring and really didn't know where to go from there. So she helped me kind of navigate through a lot of that. And, she's someone I've already connected with and kept all of her material that she gave me and PowerPoint presentations that I feel like will be beneficial in this role.
Connor, you say you're the oldest 28-year-old in the game.
Yeah.
For you, realizing that players are different now, student athletes are different, their coach is different, and things of that nature. How important is it for you to be able to adapt to the new wave of student athletes?
Yeah, I think, again, step one is for me to just get to know them, understand who they are, where they're from, where they're studying, what are their passions and hobbies, so we can feed that. But like I said, the more I get to know them and more I get to understand the dynamic of a locker room and kind of that mediator between the coaching staff, someone that they can trust. That's a position that I don't take lightly. I take very seriously, and look forward to developing those relationships.
Connor, clearly you've got responsibility for everybody in that locker room, but do you think you can bring something to the quarterbacks on the roster, given your understanding of the spotlight and pressure on that position?
They have a great coach in Mike Bobo and a great support staff here, and they know what they're doing from that standpoint. I think it's going to be fun for me to just go sit in the offensive meeting room, a quarterback meeting room, get to know the quarterback room, maybe talk a little bit of football. But, my extent to my involvement with football is going to be being in sync with Coach Muschamp to see what's a win for our guys on and off the field.
But in terms of the off the field and the pressure, just because of the spotlight on
Yeah.
the position,
Absolutely.
I think you can relate to them because of that.
Yeah, I think it's a lot of it's blocking out the noise, understanding what's important. How do I progress each day, whether it's on the field, whether it's in the meeting room and in the weight room, and that's what you have to focus on. There's a lot of things, especially as a quarterback, that present distractions for you, and so it's really just understanding what's important and really hone in on that.
Well, obviously, you coached against Connor, but what was the start of your guys' personal relationship? How far back does that go, and how did that kind of develop through the years?
Just when I got to Columbia, Connor was around a good bit, and obviously Coach Spurrier and I have a great relationship, and he always talked about Connor's leadership ability, the type player he was, how he positively affected everybody around him, what kind of guy you want in the locker room, and then you come to Columbia and meet him, and you realize that's exactly who he is, and that's what he's about, and as far as those things are concerned, and meeting him and getting to know him better and seeing how real and authentic he is and his passion for South Carolina and the University of South Carolina.
Go back to Josh.
Will, to follow up on kind of what I was talking about, Connor, from your playing days until now, how have you seen the outside pressure increase on these players, especially that position at quarterback, and what does somebody in this role do to mitigate that?
I personally feel like he'll be a tremendous asset for those guys at that position because it's easier to talk through things if you've been there and done that, and he certainly has at a high level. So I don't think there's any question that'll be a huge benefit to us moving forward. Because of social media, everybody has a platform, everybody has an opinion, no matter how ignorant it might be. They do, and so. I think what he said is great. Control the controllables, control the things that are important, and someone's opinion on Twitter is probably not very important, to be honest with you. So let's lock in on those things. But that's hard when you're dealing with 17, 18, 19, 20 years old because they're concerned about the perception of things. They're not totally focused in on the reality of what's going on and how we need to improve and get better, and as an individual player, as a side of the ball, as a football team, or whatever the case may be. So everyone has a platform nowadays, and that's unfortunate, but that's the way it is.
Connor, you kind of talked about the timing being right for this move. Just what about this made the timing right, and kind of what excites you about kind of coming to this program when you are?
Well, first, regardless of the timing, it's an opportunity to come back to the university that I love and that I invested so much into and invested in me. So did I enjoy what I was doing before this? Sure. I think, again, I learned a lot. It was a great skill set that I think will be transferable to this type of role. But, I had aspirations to be a part of this university. And, I love what they're building here. It's very special, and the staff that he's brought in and the guys that he's recruiting. I think the first conversation that we had was, we don't have a lot of, bad guys, like character-wise. these guys want to learn. They want to be sponges, and they want to work hard. And those guys are easy to work with. So for the timing, it could have been 2 months ago. It could have been 2 months from now, and I would have been ride or die.
Well, obviously, between Connor and Marcus, two of the greatest players to play at this program, what is the benefit of having a former USC player in this role, and especially one that players know?
Someone that's been on the campus, has been through the gauntlet of working here and playing here and understanding that that part of it. Again, it's no different than what Josh asked earlier about the quarterback position. He's been there and done that at the highest level at our university. So I think it's a huge benefit to have somebody that's walked the halls, that understands being a Gamecock.
I'm just curious, being from Georgia, what's your relationship like with Mike Bobo? Did he recruit you at all coming out of school, or what was that process like?
Indirect relationship with him. So his dad, George Bobo, trained me as a youngin in Rabun County, Georgia, where my folks are at now. My brother's the head coach there, and so I've met Mike a couple of times through him. But I know what he stands for. I know how real he is, and I know his knowledge of this game is going to be a tremendous asset.
He didn't offer you?
No, he didn't offer me.
Nah, that's a bad deal.
I'll say this though, even if he did,
You beat him.
Yeah, I grew up a big Spurrier fan, so my rooms were blue and orange growing up. So I know maybe I just wanted to be different right outside of Athens, but yeah, that's kind of how I ended up here actually.
Other questions? Any housekeeping questions for Coach? Anybody?
Come on, Fink. I mean, we're about out the gate. And then Ben raises his hand.
Obviously, Coach Hutzler takes that role at Texas. Sure. I guess, what was your reaction watching that process, and also what kind of a challenge is it sort of replacing a guy who could both do the linebackers and do special teams like he did?
Well, again, we're going to make the best hire for the University of South Carolina. Appreciate Coleman and his contributions here. And, that phone call came last week, so that's something that I've been working on and talked to several people over the weekend, a couple guys yesterday and another guy today. So we'll make the best decision for South Carolina.
With the hope to be able to have that in place before the next time you can get on the...
Whenever we can make the best decision for South Carolina is when we will, whether it's tomorrow or 2 weeks from now. So we'll make that decision then.
How comfortable are you guys? I think the recruiting period starts this weekend,
Friday.
So
Yeah.
how good do you guys feel about the ability to close this class strong?
Well, I think we got a good plan in place as far as the guys we feel like that we need to sign in February, and so I think we have a good plan in place at this time. But we'll be back on the road on Friday. And we got a big weekend this weekend with some good young players coming in town unofficially.
Will, do you know when you're starting spring practice and the spring game?
I believe it's April 4th is a spring game. We're starting February 27th. I believe it's that Wednesday, the last Wednesday in February. And we'll have 5 practices before spring break like we've done before, and come back and finish it up April 4th.
Anything else? Good. Oh, Ben's got one more.
That's right.
Would Coach Krantz be a candidate to move back on the field?
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Anything else? Good. Stay.
All righty. Have a great day.
Appreciate it.
Sure,